Welcome everyone back to the Crimson 15 podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Sen.
15 PCA.
810-454.
Be sure to check us out over on Twitter at C15 Podcast. Join the discussion over on Discord, link in the description below. And if you're enjoying the videos, be sure to sub, like, share, and hit that bell for notifications. It's really been like 6 months since I've done an Amphibia review, and that ends today. I've been working so much, 50-hour work weeks, week after week, and I've been telling myself, on my day off, I'll do something, but my days off are just filled with all the other things I got to do in my real life. So I'm waking up early. I'm watching an episode, going to do reviews. I'm going to try to get out at least once a week. You know, I love the series, and it deserves to be reviewed. It deserves to be watched. And I love all you guys for sticking around after all this time. And here we go. Let's get right into it. Marcy at the Gates. Is this a reference to Enemy at the Gates? I don't know, but I finally get to meet Marcy. It's impossible to avoid all spoilers on Twitter and just on the internet in general, but I never got to I'm like, oh, okay, she's a crossbow and stuff like that. But now that I actually got to experience Marcy for myself, I like her, but I have some concerns. And there's a when we get to it, there's one line she says, and it kind of made me go but we start out and they're getting close to Newtopia, and Sprig's super excited, but then you have Anne, she's looking at her picture and she's like, man, we've been here for all this time and I haven't even heard anything about Marcy. And I like how Sprig's like, but the last friend you had, Sasha, she was pretty awful. And of course Anne's like, oh no, she kind of defends her, but it's like, no dude, no, she was like gonna kill you and kill the planners and she didn't care. She's like, oh, but Marcy's completely different. And we get to see her in like at school and stuff. Crazy smart, always playing video games, but insanely clumsy. Like she's going to slip on things. She's running into lockers. She's constantly like wanting to learn things, constantly studying, but she's like never paying attention. But she passes all of her classes and stuff. She gets like an A+ on her paper, but she's constantly playing video games. She's just crazy smart. And she's into Dungeons and Dragons and all those other things. She's trying to get Sasha and Anne to play. And I think they're just kind of going along with it because it's something she wants to do, but she gets way too excited. And Anne's like, oh, I was like her protector. And I because we see throughout everything, she was always keeping her from falling and picking up her books. And Anne's worried about it. Like, if I'm not there for her, how's she going to take care of herself? And right then and there, I'm thinking, and you got to trust your friends to, it's good to be there for her. Like, even in this episode, you see things happen and Anne's like helps her out, which is good, but she's not a baby. She's not a toddler. She's going to have to learn and do things on her own. And Anne has to let go of that. The whole relationships evolve, and she has to let go of that. I'm the protector. You're the weak. I'm the strong. You got to let that mindset go. But they finally get to Newtopia, and it's a pretty cool reveal. What a cool looking city. I love this look. A lot of the stuff is like a video game. You have to go on quests and stuff. It's because they can't just get into the city, and there's like a whole thing about it. I'm like, it's such a video game thing. But they get there, and I love how it's like, yay! But they have to like tread across all this water, and they see these big holes. And Polly's like, well, what this is about? I bet this is going to come up later. It's so stupid. It's such a fourth wall joke. I wasn't expecting the holes to come up so quickly. Like, they're just kind of just joking on themselves. They get to the door, and just like Wizard of Oz, they don't open the door. No one's coming in. It's locked. They're closed. And I like how Anne's like, what do you mean? Are you closed like for lunch? Like, what is it, like a store? It's like, no, we're closed because there's these Barbarian Ants. What a cool name, because they're Barbarian Ants. And I like the fact that like, oh, these things can't be that bad. They're called Barbarian Ants. So they're these huge ants, and they grab a hold of Sprig and they kind of have to fight it off. And like, oh, these things are outside. They're not going to open the gate doors until these things are away. So they end up having to fight them, and drops the people's elbow. I love this right here. This is great. I love her little teeth. Spiky teeth superiority. Just always remember that. But they kind of beat this thing back, and like, oh wow, that was good. But I'm realizing ants, when do you ever see one ant? Like, ever. There's always a bunch of them. So they all come out. I'm like, oh, they're dead. I see a bunch of like oil bombs go off, and a big fire arrow hits him. Like, okay, that's gotta be Marcy, and it scares away the ants. And they're like, oh wow, what a cool newt. And because they don't know it's a human, she shoots her arrow, and it's kind of like a swinging grapple hook thing. And so she can like swing around and stuff, which is pretty cool. She goes down, it breaks halfway through, and is like, oh my goodness, that's Marcy. But then she writes down, oh, these ropes can hold, the average human girl for this many seconds. Like, she's constantly writing things down, constantly analyzing. But then Anne's like, oh my goodness, Marcy, is that you? Then they have the big reunion. Her voice, at first I didn't like it, but then it kind of grew on me. Like, in my mind, I imagine her voice sounding different, but whatever. It's good. I liked it. And like, when it first happened, I felt like, but it's good. And they kind of have their big hugs and everything. And of course, Sprig's super jealous. One, because Anne's my friend. And two, he's afraid because the only other human he's ever known is Sasha, and she was like awful. So now they think, oh, maybe she'll turn into a bad person too. But then you have, she's just being like super like, oh, wow, check this out. I got this crossbow and look, it's even real. She like points it right at her face. Yeah, don't do that. Don't point something that can like totally stab me in the face. And she's like, oh, wow. Then she like basically like predicts her whole thing. Oh, did you find a family and they adopted you? Just like my favorite video game. And I think the problem with Marcy is she takes everything as like it's a game or it's an RPG. It's like one of my books. It's like one of my shows. And it's got her to survive so far. This is where I kind of felt like, it's not a game. There's like, you can really die in this world. And she's like, oh, wow, look at this family. She's like, oh my goodness, look at you little guys. And then she kind of analyzes all of them. And she's like, oh, you're from the, from like farmlands and stuff. And then she even talks about how, oh, wow, I studied farmlands and they're the backbone of society. And then that's like the hot pop's like, oh my God, I love you. And then she's like, oh, look at this, a pollywog. Oh, I bet your legs are going to be coming in pretty soon. And you can kind of like hold her up to the sunlight and see like inside of her. So hopefully Polly gets her legs because, she's been bouncing around this whole time. And then she gets up to Sprig and then she's trying to talk to him. She's like super sweet and kind. But Sprig, look at the look on Sprig's face. Like, he's like, I don't trust you. I love these lines. These jokes are funny.
Not poisonous, are you?
Maybe I am, maybe I'm not.
Wouldn't it be great if Sprig really was poisonous? But he's not. She's like, oh, wow, okay, let me, you've been surviving this whole time. And Anne is happy, but she's also like, oh man, I still want to be here for you and protect you. But I guess she kind of worked her way up to like, when she teleported, she ended up here and inside the city wall. So she was protected. And this is what bothered me. She's like, oh, I just pretended to be a rogue character in one of my games. And I became like the leader of the Night Guard.
Roleplayed like your typical artificer rogue, and next thing I know, boom! I'm the chief ranger of the Newtopia Night Guard.
She's constantly being someone else. Her idea is like, oh, I'm something else. I'm playing a game. I'm role-playing as something else. So are we seeing the real Marcy? Or is there like something where she's constantly pretending to be something else because she's doesn't want to be herself? This is just me spitballing this, just thinking, blue skying an idea here. Maybe there's something deeper here where she constantly escapes reality through like video games and fantasy and role playing, because she even said, oh, I'm just going to role play as this. And then today I'm this rogue. I don't know if I like that. It's just concerning to me. But she's like, oh no, okay, on her way. She just swings off, and it's funny because she's like, we can't get inside, but I have a plan to get rid of these ants. And the funny thing is she swings off, but they have to walk. So they get to a tent, and there's dudes arguing about what they should do about the ants, and full frontal assault, let's go sneaky. And one person's like, hey, we should like try to be their friends. And like, oh, that's a stupid idea. And the gag, I love this gag.
Shut up, Blair. You shut up.
You can't hit someone with the book that says pacifism. That's the exact opposite. You don't use violence. But I guess these are like her other advisors. They don't seem, I want to say they don't dislike the planners or Anne, but they're just kind of like, oh, you have guests. Like, they're just like dismissive. I guess that's, I don't know, better than just being hateful. Like how the toads were to the frogs. Like, they want to enslave them. The newts kind of just seemed indifferent, but they're talking about stuff. And then Anne keeps like messing with her friend, like how, kids do. Like, she's poking her and like messing with her hair and stuff. And she's like, oh, wow, I'm so glad you're here and everything. But then you kind of see Marcy's like, oh, we got this plan, but she's like still messing with her. And it's like, and this is kind of like a serious situation. I guess these ants moved in, and if they don't get rid of them, they're going to build a giant ant colony like where the city is. So she has a plan to plant these little stink bombs. I like how Polly thought they were the boom shrooms, but they're just like stink ones.
Boom shrooms? quite. These are stink shrooms.
It's like, these pheromones will drive the ants out. And once the queen leaves, the rest of the ants will leave. But we got to plant them first. We have to get down into like the main chamber. So we're going to have to fight our way through some ants. We have to sneak our way in. And it's like, hey, just let us handle it. We do stuff like this all the time, Marcy. You can stay behind. We got this. And she's like, well, no, Anne, I can do this. It's fine. But then you start getting this little bit of distress. Like, you don't have to constantly, watch after me. She's like, hey, your cape's on fire. And there's like a gag. It keeps happening. Like her cape keeps catching on fire. And she's like, see, right here. No, see, I'm here to protect you. It's okay. We got this. And then she's like, no, we're all going to go. So they all start to leave. And I like how Hop Pop's like, hey, guys, you coming with us? And they're like, we don't do that kind of stuff. These guys are like, they're just the bookworms. They don't do anything. Then of course Hop Pop's like, hey, field work is like honorable work and everything, and so, which is cool. I like that. Sprig's gonna keep an eye on Marcy because she's gonna backstab us. The clumsiness, like they're walking towards the little anthill thing to get into, and she's like, we're almost there, and she just falls right in. I'm starting to think she can't be like this all the time. She would have been dead. Maybe when she's around Anne, she kind of falls back onto her old self again. Because, Anne's here. And I don't know, because being this clumsy, this girl would have died a long time ago, especially in this world. And I love Bessie's awesome. I just love her. So they're getting down there and it's like, okay, we have to be extra quiet. And they're walking around and she's still kind of tripping over things and stuff's falling. And I like how Sprig is like, oh, you need to be in the back. And it's like, oh no, kind of let her be up front because I say if they get attacked, it might be from the front. But of course, it gets attacked from the rear and Sprig gets dragged off. I like how none of them went after Sprig. So they're ready for a battle and then Sprig pops out. He's like, oh, you survived. I like how they're almost like, oh, we just assumed you were dead. So they're going to do their little fight. But she's just like, ooh, look at these flowers. And oh, this is exactly what I was looking for. It's nice that she was able to make like these like bombs. Like she has like it's not want to say alchemy, but she's doing like potion making and stuff. It's cool. But you're not paying attention to around you. You're going to get hurt. You want someone like this on your team, but she needs to, I don't know, be more aware of her surroundings. But these explosions, she blows open a hole in the wall. They get through it. And then she has like a bramble spell. So it hits the thing and it builds like a little wall of vines. But Polly was on the other side. And they're like, oh no. So they dig her back out. Then Sprig's like, oh, she did it on purpose. It's like, no. Marcy's not like that, but is she? I don't know. They keep pushing this. They like to do this thing where they show you one way. Oh, that character was wrong for thinking that, but they were all right. They were right in the end. I don't know. I want to see what happens with this Marcy character. But they start fighting their way through there. They build up the wall again and they make it to the queen's chamber. And like, okay, we get to plant these things. The queen has horrible eyesight, but really good hearing. So we have to be quiet. They're planting it. And instead of Anne planting the thing, she's just watching Marcy. A stalagmite. Is it a stalagmite or a stalactite? The ones from the roof. It falls and Anne pushes her out of the way. And then Marcy's like, geez, Anne, what are you doing? She's like, I just saved you from that. She's like, Anne, I was going to jump out of the way. But I don't know. It didn't look like she was going to. But she survived this long. And then Anne's like, I'm trying to save you. And you could see that Anne's starting to feel bad that she's not trusting her friend. She's like, come on, Anne, I can do this. I've changed. I've grown. Then Sprig gets attacked again. He's the only one who always gets attacked first. It grabs him and it straight up eats him. The queen eats, and then like, holy crap. But I guess it takes a long time to digest because Marcy knows a lot about these ants. She's like, he's still alive. He's in the stomach. We can get him out. Then Anne's like, let me go. She's like, no, Anne, I know the biology. I can get him out. You have to trust me. It's like, why are you acting like this? We're not back home anymore. This is different. Then we get this whole scene. This scene's absolutely beautiful.
Because I just got you back, okay?
And I don't want to lose you again.
She's like, yeah, but if I can't lose you again, I just found you again. I cannot lose you. But she's like, it's okay, Anne. I can handle this. You got to trust me. Then she kind of lets her go. And then she's running and she's bouncing off the ants. And it's like, oh, wow, they're really springy. She's like, yeah, I know. And I love this. This is the best. Take me away.
I did, because I studied them.
She's just like, it just falls into its mouth. I love it. But I guess she knows like all the places they hit it to make it vomit or whatever. And then, of course, Sprig, trustworthy. She's swinging away, but the queen ant just nicks the line. And they're like, oh crap, we're gonna have to fight our way out. But that's when all the stink bombs go off and it just drives them all out. Again, these little short gags are always funny. Yeah, it's gonna destroy your lungs and it will kill you. So they get the ants to retreat. So save the day. Everyone, Sprig learned to trust Marcy. Marcy learned that Anne and their relationship has changed. They're still friends, but that protector, the strong and the weak, that relationship has evolved, which is good. And they make it to the gate. They open up, and then we see Newtopia, and it's a pretty cool place. It's like more, I want to say, like a city, which is pretty cool. So Hop Pop loses his shirt because like the little acid thing like burned his shirt away, and then he's wearing like his little sweater. And very, I want to say, not like Roman. It's more aristocratic looking, unlike when we saw Warwood. It was very like backwater. This is like a capital city. Bunch of guards show up, and then I guess this is the queen, the king's wife, and she's like, oh, Marcy, the king sends his regards. I can see that you got rid of the ants. She's like, yes, I did. And then she's like, oh, you have some guests with you. She's like, oh, this is my friend Anne, the one I was talking about. And I do like how the planners are like, oh, we can bow too. And they're just kind of like falling all over themselves. And the queen's kind of dismissive. Like I said, doesn't seem like they hate them. They're just dismissive of them. It's like, don't touch anything. And then, of course, Sprig breaks something. And then she kind of gets that twitchy eye like, oh, my goodness, people, while you're here, don't screw everything up. Hop Pop's like, hey, let's give Marcy and Anne some space. They need to, catch up and talk and stuff. We're going to go unload the wagon. Then they start talking about everything. And she's like, oh, man, we haven't found a way home. She's like, nope, I came here, but we had to find Sasha. I wonder where she's at. And then Anne doesn't say everything. She's like, yeah, I found Sasha, but we had a fight. And Marcy's probably thinking, oh, like a normal friends fight. No, we had like a fight to the death. But she kind of like, yeah, there were swords. It was pretty bad. And now I don't know where she is. She needs to be more honest about the things that Sasha did and the things that Sasha was willing to do. But I don't know. Maybe in time she'll let her know all that stuff. But she's like, well, we got to find a way home. But Sasha's the one who always came up with the plans back home. And she's like, well, maybe we need to start thinking for ourselves. I love that. You got to grow. It's great to be in a group dynamic. It's great to have friends. And there's always going to be that person that is like the quote unquote the leader. But you are an individual. You need to make your own decisions. It's like, yeah, let's do that. Let's start making your own decisions. And they kind of do like a, strong person's pose like in an RPG. After you win a battle, it's kind of like that. Super cool. I love it. Then it's like, oh, you got to tell me about everything. And of course, everything Anne talks about is like, oh, look at this. And then it tried to eat us. And then we met this thing and it tried to eat us, which is funny. Great little gag at the end. But then we see the king. I'm assuming this is the king. Big guy. And it's, I love his voice. It's so, what's his name? David Keith. Is that David Keith's voice? And he's like, oh, finally, all the players are assembled. Time to play the game. So he already has a piece of Anne. So there's got to be a prophecy or an ancient legend or something, because why would he have these pieces like already ready to go? So maybe there's some type of like, I don't know, ancient thing, like a Ragnarok type situation that's going to happen. I don't know. Pretty cool. I'm glad I'm getting back into Amphibia. I'm really, really going to try to at least do one episode a week, record more audios, get more reviews done, wake up a little bit earlier because I love the show. I love interacting with you guys in the comments. Even though everyone's already seen all the new episodes, so try not to spoil me. But thank you guys for sticking around. I will get to the end of the series. I will do every episode. It may take me a while, but I'm going to do it. Thanks for watching. Catch me on the next review.
Actually smells kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, it will liquefy your lungs if you breathe too much of it, so... Well, time to go!
Crimson's in here. Thanks for watching the video. Remember, you can contact us on any of the social media platforms in the description down below. And while you're here, be sure to click on one of the videos over on the right.